Let me tell you a story about two people. As a child, John had a physical defect. It was a unique characteristic that made him stand out from his peers. Despite his efforts to fit in and be accepted, the other children targeted him for being different. They mocked and taunted him, making him feel like an outcast. The bullying John experienced at school took a toll on his self-esteem and confidence. He began to question his worth and struggled with feelings of loneliness. Feeling trapped and unable to escape the cycle of abuse, John withdrew from social interactions. He found solace in the digital world, where he could escape from the pain and rejection he faced in the real life. Video games became his refuge, providing a temporary escape from his harsh reality. With time, John's isolation grew deeper. He disconnected from society, losing faith in the possibility of meaningful relationships. Social media, although superficial connection, became his only form of interaction. He found himself mindlessly scrolling through endless feeds, comparing his life to others and feeling even more isolated. The weight of his emotional pain led John down a dark path. He started experiencing frequent thoughts of suicide, as this seemed like the only escape from his overwhelming despair. Each day became a struggle, and hope seemed distant and unattainable. This extended period of isolation and despair took a significant toll on John's mental health, shaping his outlook on life as he reached adult life. He became resigned to his circumstances, convinced that he was destined to be alone and rejected by others. Now, let's turn to Susan. Despite facing similar challenges to John, Susan's story took a different turn. Like John, Susan had a physical defect that distinguished her from her peers. Throughout her school years, Susan endured relentless bullying and found solace in her own company. She would spend most of her time alone, seeking refuge in books and creative pursuits. The isolation was difficult for her, but she held on to a glimmer of hope that someday things would change. As Susan grew older, her resilience and determination began to shine through. She focused on meeting new people through mutual interest. Throughout her involvement in artistic endeavors, she found a close-knit group of friends who appreciated her for who she was, including her unique physical appearance. These newfound friends offered Susan a sense of belonging and acceptance that she had longed for. They saw beyond her physical appearance and embraced her for her genuine character and talents. With time, Susan's social circle expanded and she built strong, meaningful relationships that enriched her life. Additionally, Susan's journey also led her to find love. She entered into a happy romantic relationship with someone who appreciated her for her inner beauty and shared her interests. Their partnership provided her with love, support, and a sense of emotional security. Susan's life took a positive trajectory and she began to thrive. Her experiences with bullying had shaped her resilience and empathy, allowing her to connect with others on a deep level. We all know similar stories from people in our own lives, some who overcome trauma, while others seem to remain trapped by it. How does this happen? Why do we witness such different outcomes? The answer to this question can be found in the psychology of Alfred Adler. Adler, one of three great psychoanalysts of the 20th century, alongside Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, has often been overshadowed despite his highly influential works and ideas. Although he was once a close associate of Freud, Adler diverged from him due to his differing views on human psychology. So how were their views different? Well, let's just say that Adler did not fully subscribe to the concept of trauma. Here's what he said. No experience is inherently a cause of success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, commonly referred to as trauma. Instead, we make of them what aligns with our purposes. We are self-determined by the meaning we assign to our experiences, and it is likely that we make a mistake when we take specific experiences as the sole basis for our future lives. Meanings are not determined by situations. Rather, we determine ourselves by the meanings we give to situations. Adler's perspective challenges the notion that shock from traumatic experiences directly dictates our future. Instead, he highlights the significance of individual interpretation and the meaning we attach to our experiences in shaping our lives. Now let's delve back into the story of John and Susan. How did their adult lives turn out to be so radically different despite both of them enduring childhood bullying? Let's analyze John first. His initial social interactions with peers were painful, which gradually led him to develop a negative attitude towards his social environment, ultimately leading to a complete withdrawal. He created fear in his mind, a fear that stripped him of the ability to form meaningful social connections with his peers. He started to believe that people were inherently cruel, leading him to view the world through a black and white lens. On the other hand, Susan experienced the same painful experiences during her childhood, yet she developed a completely different mindset later in life, one that proved beneficial to her. Why did she develop a different attitude? It was because she ascribed a different meaning to those experiences. She decided to believe that the mistreatment she received from her peers was not a reflection of all people. Her thinking was, I need to find the right people. I may face hurt along the way, but eventually I will find them because they exist somewhere. John, on the other hand, believed that isolating himself was the solution. He held the belief that if he tried to find friends, he would inevitably get hurt because people are inherently cruel and it simply wasn't worth the effort. It was easier for John to adopt this kind of attitude because it allowed him to stay within the confines of his comfort zone. In essence, he lacked the courage to pursue happiness. Alfred Adler aptly stated, "Courage is not an ability one either possesses or lacks. Courage is the willingness to engage in risk-taking behavior, regardless of whether the consequences are unknown or possibly adverse. We are capable of courageous behavior provided we are willing to engage in it." Adler also believed we use traumatic experiences for the achievement of our goals. John used his trauma for his goal, which was to avoid dealing with the outside world. Adler is not saying that horrible events from the past don't have any effect on the present. He is simply stating that we have more power over them than we usually think, and they do not necessarily define our future life. We all define our own lives according to the meaning we give to those past experiences. Adler was different from the other great psychoanalysts, in that he didn't focus on the causes of someone's unhappiness. Instead, he tried to figure out the purpose of someone's behavior that was making them unhappy. His focus was more on the present and the future rather than the past. He argued that human behavior could be explained teleologically as opposed to etiological explanations. Etiology deals with the study of causes or origins. On the other hand, teleology examines the purpose or finality of something. According to Adler's perspective, if John had a normal physical appearance and wasn't bullied in childhood, he would still try to find excuses to avoid people to some degree. Adler also posited that there are two primary ways people deal with their inferiorities in life: confronting the issue head-on or retreating into safeguarding behaviors. Individuals who choose the path of safeguarding behaviors, as in John's case, often develop beliefs that shield them from exposing themselves and potentially damaging their fragile self-esteem. This way, they can justify to themselves and others around them that there is nothing they can do about it and that it is out of their control. Those who completely withdraw from facing the challenge of overcoming their inferiorities tend to develop an inferiority complex. Adler emphasized that the feeling of inferiority is not a disease, it is rather a stimulant to healthy, normal striving and development. It becomes a pathological condition only when the sense of inadequacy overwhelms the individual and, far from stimulating them to useful activity, makes them depressed and incapable of development. The contrasting attitudes and choices made by John and Susan showcase the significant impact of mindset and beliefs on one's trajectory in life. While John retreated and embraced a self-protective outlook, Susan chose to seek out the right connections, taking risks despite the potential for hurt. These differing approaches led to vastly different outcomes for both individuals. Understanding the role of mindset and courage in navigating life's challenges can empower individuals to pursue personal growth and build meaningful connections, even in the face of adversity. What do you think? Do you think we always have power over the past experiences? Are we simply doomed if we experience a certain amount of trauma? Or the truth is somewhere in the middle? Be free to share your opinion in the comments below. Also, consider becoming our patron. Your contribution through Patreon plays a pivotal role in sustaining and enhancing the quality of our content. It enables us to dedicate more time and resources to deliver engaging and meaningful content for you to enjoy. To join our Patreon community, simply click the link below in the description.